Hello and Happy New Year, hope you enjoyed the holiday season. I'm not much of a Christmas person myself, but I love New Year. I love the feeling of being able to start afresh and just kind of think about what I would like my next year to look like. Now, I'm using the word goals in the video title, but I don't mean goals like practice Ketsui every day until you get an Ura 2 all. I'm more interested in goals as reminders to explore. Often in life we kinda end up doing stuff on autopilot, just following our routines, and that's okay, we need that too. But it means we often kind of forget about or even avoid things that we might actually enjoy doing or that would at least provide us with an interesting experience. So that's kind of the mindset that I want to approach this with. Now, before getting into the actual goals, I'll do a quick recap of my shmup journey this far because it really informs what I want to do this year. I think I talked about this in my Beginner's Guide to Bullet Hell series, but I used to play a little shmups from time to time, but I never really got them. I didn't know anything about 1-credit clears or fundamentals. I would just play through a game using continues and consider it done. But then sometime in the spring of 2022, I became intrigued by the original Dodonpachi. I was baffled by its difficulty and I had to learn the basics of Bullet Hell to make sense of it. In June, I finally managed to 1-all the game, and that's what I consider to be the starting point of my journey with shmups. Dodonpachi got me hooked on Danmaku, and I proceeded to play more games in a similar style. So in 2022, I managed to clear a total of 8 shmups, 7 cave games and 1 non-cave game, and that's Bee Storm, which is still an entry in a cave series. I just fell in love with their style and wanted to explore their catalog. It's like when you find a new favorite band or artist and just kinda binge on all of their albums. 2023 was basically a repeat of 2022. I again did 8 arcade clears, 6 by cave and 2 by rising, so you can see I really did my best to branch out. I also went back and did a couple of no-miss runs, went deeper into scoring on Dai Ojo, and cleared Crimson Clover on Novice and Arrange. Now, you're probably seeing the trend here. I happen to get into shmups through Cave, and since they have so many amazing games, I've been perfectly happy just spending most of my playtime going through them. I've tried a bunch of titles by other studios too, but I feel like I could push myself a little bit more into that direction. So, what does all of this mean for 2024? Well, several things. 5 to be exact. Number 1, I want to clear at least 1 new Rising game. It's a studio that is held in very high regard, but it took me a long time to warm up to their style. Like, I don't even know how many times I had to try battle Garegga before it really clicked with me. The game just felt strangely awful to play and I didn't see the fun in it. Now I just love it, I even like the weird diagonal movements. It reminds me of the original Doom, where you can go faster by strafing diagonally, and everything that reminds me of Doom makes me happy. So the obvious next step after Garegga is Armed Police Batrider, but I've heard it's even more difficult, so we'll see. I also want to check out their more lighthearted titles like Kingdom Grand Prix, since I enjoyed the world building of Mahodai Saksen. Number 2, explore Taito shmups. Taito seems to have an aesthetic all of its own, and I know some people are specifically really into shmups by Taito. There's the Darius series, or Darius, the Ray trilogy, and stuff like Metal Black and Gun Frontier. I want to give these games a deeper look and see what I think about them. And this is something that I actually already started doing, and I have some initial impressions that I hope to share with you sooner rather than later. Number 3, clear a indie or doujin shmup. For me, a huge part of falling in love with shmups has also been discovering an arcade legacy that I've never really been super aware of. It's been so cool to learn about all of these legendary studios and series that, again, I've kinda had my hands full with just that stuff alone. But since outside of shmups, I'm much more into indie than big budget games, I want to see what something like Gunbane or Blue Revolver has to offer. Speaking about that arcade legacy, number 4 is to try to give a fair shake to some of the old school classics. It's so funny, before I found Dodonpachi, Bullet Hell games seemed like complete madness to me, and I would much rather play something like R-Type. Well, now it's the other way around. Bullet Hell seems normal to me, but every time I try to play like a Toaplan game, for example, it feels like I'm losing my mind. Everything is just the opposite of what I expect or honestly want. But since I know that those games have a lot of fans too, I don't want to just dismiss them without at least trying to see the appeal. So I'm not setting any 1cc goals here because that might be too much for me. But I think it could be interesting to learn a couple of levels of like Hishouzame or something similar. And number 5, can you guess what it is? It's play more cave. Now this might seem like going against the whole idea of this list since I'm already playing cave anyway, but the thing is, I've already done most of the cave clears that I felt naturally drawn to. The stuff that remains is intriguing for sure, but it's also kinda pushing me out of my comfort zone. There's Guwange, which I really like in theory, but the controls just break my brain. There's Progear, which I've actually done some practice on, but switching to horizontal bullet hell again just messes with everything I've grown accustomed to. There's also stuff like learning more chains in Daiojo and possibly trying to clear the Black Label 1-round mode, which has Hibachi at the end. No promises, cause that's pretty hard, but I'll do some attempts at the very least. So that's what I had in mind, but of course the fun part is coming back to this list in a year and see what actually happens. Maybe I'll do all of this, maybe I'll get tired of shmups and delete this whole channel. Who knows? Not me. I've seen a lot of people do these kinds of lists, but if you haven't done this already and this seems like a fun thing to do, feel free to post your goals in the comments section. It can be anything, get a clear, get a high score, play more, play less, whatever is on your mind. Thanks for watching and I'll see you again real soon.